Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Crumb from the 80s. I am Chris Seaver, and I am back once again to talk a little bit of nostalgia. I've been very off and on this channel, as some of you know. When something hits me that I want to talk about or gives me a little inspiration, then I pop on and talk about it. I'm not beholden to any times or rules or anything. And that's what the channel is. Something sparks, and I'll pop on and talk about it. So first, I do want to say on July 28th, which is a Monday, coming right up, it is the 24th today, 23rd, 24th. I turned 48. I'm so close to 50, and I've got friends on both sides that are either just turned 50 or about to turn 50, got a year to turn 50, in the same boat, 2 years away. Crazy time. But what better way for you fans to say happy birthday, old man Sievage, than to pick up some Warlock Home Video or Low Budget Pictures Blu-rays or the Mulva Demon Ass Kicker poster for your own to put up on your wall and wait until the movie comes out. Which I still don't know, folks. I still don't know when Mulva is coming. Haven't talked to our producer. Well, I've sent messages, but I have not heard a peep from him since March. So I have no idea what's happening with the film. But you can get the poster for a movie that we made 2 years ago, and it's finally coming out. But we've got a whole bunch of stuff, and you can go on my Instagram, Warlock Home Video, or Facebook at Warlock Home Video Network or Christopher J. Seaver. And there's an ad there. You can get all the details there of how much crazy shit I offer and all that good stuff as far as the Blu-rays and whatnot. And the folks who did pick up the Low Budget Pictures Classics Volume 8, thank you very much. That has Bloody Bobby and Devil's Night Out and a whole bunch of other crazy early 90s ridiculousness from me and the original group of LBP homies. That hopefully will be getting to me soon, and once it gets to me, and I'll be sending out to all you folks who grabbed a copy of it. So I appreciate you. Thank you. We also just did a shot on VHS crap fest for Blood Scream Comics. I just have to edit it and then send it off to them, and then they'll do whatever they want with it. It's theirs. And then I am currently writing about pre-production, getting into that thick with The Curse of Bloodfart Lake, the third Bloodfart Lake movie. By the time we shoot it, it'll be 18 years since the first Bloodfart Lake film. But yes, that's finally coming. And you folks can get a hold of me if you want to, donate to the making of that film and all the crazy stuff that is planned for it, and fun fun actors and cameos that are popping in. Anyway, so that's the quote-unquote business side of things for Warlock Home Video. I also have a, through Instagram, I have a Threads. I don't know how, I guess Threads is supposed to be like a better Twitter. I don't know. So if you want to follow me there, I got to figure that out, see what I'm going to do there, or if it's all just going to be the same. I don't know. Technology. What? I'm 48. I don't know how to work fingers. Anyway, guess what, folks? Today I want to talk about the movies that are my favorite from the years 1980 and 1985. 2 years that are celebrating anniversaries. 1985, 40 years of this stuff, and 1980, 45 years. But in particular, let's talk about 1980 for a minute, because if you're somebody like me who is obsessed with the 1980s and was a child in the 80s into a teen, maybe you find it very important that the 80s began 45 years ago. I think it's wild. Because there's a part of me that's like, the 80s weren't that long ago. I'm just like, oh, and maybe it's because like they haven't really left, when I say the 80s, I mean like the pop culture of the 80s has not really left my sensibilities and how it shaped me as a person. Because I'm very much still living surrounded by that and enjoying that. And it never really left. So there's a part of me that's like, oh man, the 80s were right around the corner. But there's the other part where I, sat back and was like, oh shit, okay, 45 years ago was 1980. And that began, for me, the greatest decade of all time. And that I think that's gonna hold true for me until the day that I die. There wasn't a better decade. I loved the 80s, and I loved being the age that I was. Because there's a little bit of me that's like, oh, maybe I wish I was a teenager going into my 20s in the 80s, but I don't think so. I think I'm really happy with the time frame. You know what I mean? And when I was born, so I was born in 77, I was 3 in 1980. And everything that was happening, as far as pop culture was concerned, was being aimed towards children for the first time, really. And I'm talking everything. I'm talking music, fashion, food, toys, cartoons. It was all, let's bombard the kids so the kids can tell the parents to spend money on all this stuff. And so I think as a kid growing up in the 80s, I got the best of everything. I got the cartoons, I got the TV shows, I got the movies, I got the music, I got the fashion, I got the food. I turned 13 in 1990. you know, and then the 90s were my teens and going into my 20s. I was 23 in 1999. Or what was I? 22. I was 22 in 1999. Started the new year, 2023. So, yeah, what a time. What a time. And I am somebody who can remember from age 4. I have very vivid memories from my time growing up in the 80s. And I remember so many key things, things that happened to me. I remember when I first saw things, or when I first tasted things, or where I was when this happened and this happened and this happened. I think I have, my wife says I have a terrible short-term memory, but, or when it comes to anything that is remotely sort of like, quote unquote, important or responsible. But I can remember, dates, times from fucking 1982 and, whatever, and where I was, when did that come out? What was I wearing? What was that smell? Where was I? Who I saw what with, that stuff is burned into my brain. And I think there's a lot of adults, Gen X folk my age, who hang on to this stuff because it was such a happy time. And it's true, it was a much simpler time. And it was a much simpler time because we were kids. We didn't have to deal with the shit that maybe the adults were going through. You know what I mean? But I've also talked to many adults back then who were adults back then who say, man, the 80s fucking rocked, and yeah, there was turmoil in every fucking decade. Going back, since man, because man is the worst piece of shit that could ever happen to this planet. But, the hard times that you're going through as the adult that you are, nostalgia can counter that. The smiles and the feelings and the vibes from your childhood, or the things that you loved back then, can really change your attitude and your vibes now. And it does that for me a lot. And there's certainly things here, in 2025, the modern era, that I'm very happy with, pop culture wise. I love my wife. I love my child, who is 18 now and an adult of his own and doing his thing and all that stuff. But I love my friends. I love my family. I love, I love my now. But my past is very much integrated into who I am as a person. So, I get a lot of joy from that part of my history, and it's certainly, listen, like, the 80s were so important and powerful that today, 2025, it's still part of today's pop culture. It's still relevant, whether it be the fashion or the music or the toys and the movies and what is coming back and what is being reintroduced. And I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And it truly, really hasn't gone away since, and for me, I think that decade has truly had a hold on society since. So, but it's wild, it is really wild to think that 45 years ago was 1980, and thus began the greatest decade of all time. Nuts. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. And yeah, I just holy crap. Holy crap. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, I did want to talk about some of my favorite films from 1980 and 1985. Lots of anniversaries happening. And I will talk about, 35 and 30, because there's some great gems celebrating 35 and 30 as well. And while there are other films from 1980 and 1985 that I do enjoy, they're not, I don't consider them favorites. They're not, like, these are movies that I'm going to show you that I frequently watch year after year. They haven't really left a rotation. You know what I mean? They're very much a part of it. And that's, it's like that with a lot of my collection, my physical media, my movies, my movies and TV. I do lots of rewatches, and I've seen movies and TV shows countless times. So I'm one of those people who can still get joy out of over and over and over with this stuff. So for my 80s picks, there's not a lot. There's not a lot from 1980. I was 3 years old. And this is actually the first film that I was ever taken to in the movie theater. I don't remember it. I was 3 years old. I start remembering at 4 years old. I can remember every movie I saw in 1981. But the only reason I know that this was my first theatrical experience is because so many family members have told me that we were all there and they took us and we were there. So 1980, The Empire Strikes Back, 45 years ago. What the fuck? Another one I love, Caddyshack. I celebrate this every year. The Fog. So good. So good. 1980. And my last one of 1980 is my favorite comedy of all time, Airplane. And it still makes me laugh. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. So yeah, those are my 1980s. And like I said, those are my favorites from 1980. And really, I might have maybe two others in my collection from 1980, maybe. I certainly have TV shows, but yeah, movie-wise, that's good. But I mean, that's a good quadrilogy right there. 85 is a lot bigger. I think 84 and 85 are probably the two greatest years in the decade of the 80s, as far as pop culture, really, truly. So my 85 list of favorites, and again, there are some movies that I do like, but I kept on the shelf because they weren't they weren't like favorites. I didn't like go nutso for a lot of these films. So there are 85 films that have been left on the rack. But this group here are movies that I frequently watch and I really, really enjoy. The Commando. Here. He's got it. Milano is great. This is great. This is fantastic. We have the Commando, and we got Better Off Dead. The best of the Savage Steve Holland films, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, we got Same Summer, right out the box. These guys, remember, this 1985, guys. This is 40 years ago. Back to the Future and Teen Wolf. The summer of Michael J. Fox. Crom weeps. Crom weeps. Crom. Weeping. He's weeping. This is, oh my God. I mean, whew. 85, guys. We were in the thick of some of the greatest comedies of all time. Weird Science. Love it. We got Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Rest in peace, Paul. 40 years. God damn. These are amazing. Woo! Just One of the Guys. Arigagugu. I mean, this is magic. This stuff is magic. Another one. You gotta get out of here, man. You gotta get out of here. Real Genius. What? 40 years? Have we all gone mad? Again, this is my list. You guys might be like, what? What about? But no, this is my list. So, Once Bitten. 1985. Love that movie. Oh, this is a gem that like is very underrated, but I think is pretty damn good. Another 80s comedy, Secret Admirer. I told you I got a lot of 80s comedies. Fletch. And this is the new Kino disc. This is great. My favorite of the three main vacation films, because I don't count anything past Christmas Vacation, but European Vacation, 1985. Hosti. Oh, come on now. Look at this. 40 years. The Goonies. 40 years of the Goondocks. My God. Princess of Pow. Recently rewatched 2, 3, and 4 again. But Police Academy 2, 1985, so friggin' good. And it's when Jones begins his debut. Wanna fight, huh? Fight me! Love it. Stuart Gordon's Reanimator, 40 years, classic. Shit. The hell? My favorite Romero zombie film, Day of the Dead, finally getting a 4K release thanks to Scream Factory. It's coming, and I can't wait. Love it. My favorite Romero zombie film, Day of the Dead. Not my favorite of the Nightmare films, but a really good one. And it is a favorite. You know, favorite is such a interesting word, isn't it? But Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge is 1985. And I really love that film. Speaking sort of in that vein, Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning is also 1985. Again, I love it. Lots of people don't. I do. These two, you know, very Very controversial. But not for me. Look at this. Another underrated gem, but I have always loved this film. The Explorers. Great Joe Dante movie. Great kids on adventure film, similar to the Goonies, but in space. Love it. Skeleton Crew. Don't be sleeping on it. Return of the Living Dead. I love all three, but Jim Van Brunt, you know? Jimmy Van Brunt. Then we've got Demons. This movie. This is true. This is TUFF. And this is the 4K. It looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. This is a TV movie, but 1985, folks. The Midnight Hour. This is a lovingly beautiful, upscaled remaster of The Midnight Hour. Great Halloween TV movie. 1985. 40 years. 40 years. Jeez, grab them fragging, screw them friggin'. And then my favorite horror film of all time, and my last favorite of 1985, Fright Night. This is the 4K Sony edition. You know what? There's another movie that is on my list, but it's in a pile downstairs because we're watching it during my birthday weekend this weekend. The Last Dragon is celebrating 40 years. I love The Last Dragon. I have the 4K. Great. 40 years. Come on. It's coming back in theaters, and I'll probably go see it there too. You know? But, yeah. So those are my favorite movies from 1980 and 1985. What do you think? What are your favorites? You know? Let's hear them in the comments. What to got? Anyway, I'm glad you watched this. Oh, San Diego Comic-Con is going on this weekend. Guys, like, there's already stuff coming out of that we, you know, the event that is like making me wish I was there, making me wish I had money, because I'm always broke, but God, I want so much of this shit that I'm seeing. You know, there's a lot of He-Man stuff happening. Next June is the new motion picture from MGM Amazon that's hitting theaters in June of next year. Travis Knight, director of the incredible Bumblebee film, is directing the Masters of the Universe movie, and there's some fun stuff coming out from that. New toys, new Masters of the Universe toys from Mattel. There's new Ghostbusters stuff. It's my gosh. So keep a lookout for all the San Diego Comic-Con drops, if you will, kids. All right, that's going to be it. Wild, right? Reminisce with me. 1980, 45 years ago. It's insane. As you saw, I was left speechless there for a little bit. I just couldn't wrap my brain, my 48-year-old brain, around the concept. How am I 48? On the inside, I still feel like I'm 10. My bones and cartilage and sinew would say otherwise. But in my brain and in the soul, deep down in my heart, I'm still a youngin', hanging on to that 80s dream. All right, folks, thanks for watching. If you're just watching it now for the first time, like and subscribe if you liked it. Check out there's a shit ton of videos on this channel that go into me as a filmmaker and the 80s and everything that I love from it and what I've kept from childhood and the things that I still love and how I collect. I'm sitting here in my 1980s themed room, and there's videos on that as well. You'll see. But if you like it all, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Go to all my socials on Instagram, Warlock Home Video, Facebook, Warlock Home Video Network, Chris Seaver, all that good stuff. All right, guys, thanks, and we'll see you in the past. I'm coming for you.